Welcome, Dr. Mutiat Oladejo, again to the Sankofa Pan-African series. I know that also one of the things the youths are asking for is that politics has become too lucrative a business. So, and that people in the National Assembly, ministers, governors, president, they are overpaid compared to the, general public. So, how does the poor governance play into these kinds of issues of poor, disconnected, and corrupt leadership in Nigeria, and indeed other parts of Africa?
Poor governance is a manifestation, especially in Nigeria here, is a manifestation of the fact that party politics is too influential. Party politics matter in the way the government perceives the society. And that is why in Nigeria, even the smallest thing you can aspire for, if you don't know someone, you can't get it. Those are the challenges we have. And that's on the part of poor governance. Then, of course, selfish interest of the political parties is always there, the way they handle things. There is something also about urban re-engineering in contemporary times, because places we regard as rural areas are being transformed into urban areas. Towns we used to see as rural 50 years ago, they are now modernized towns. So, but the challenge is, when we want to put youth development into these changes, does our government really understand how they can make use of these urban changes to influence how the youths are engaged in the society? And that also extends to women, because when you say, okay, women, perhaps there are some women in the rural areas. These women in the rural areas, much as it is you categorize it as rural, they are also involved in all forms of skills and creative industries. So how does the government extend to this, or how do these women access for instance, I remember there is this CBN empowerment programs that goes around various states in Nigeria. Most of these things are concentrated in the cities. We may have to consider how development is also construed, because that's a problem in itself. When we want to look at development in Africa, there is a tendency that we may be construing development in the Western sense. And that's some of maybe past scholars and policy makers, they are making a bit of mistake in that perspective, because several things account for development in Africa. What you can see as underdevelopment in probably European countries may actually count as an alternative way to sustainable development in Africa. So these are the kind of things we used to.
Can you give an example of something that might be seen as underdevelopment in Europe, but that is an alternative way of development that might already be available in Africa that our governments are not taking advantage of?
Yes. For instance, in some of these rural towns, for example, we still have the monarchical system, we have the village administrative structures. But unfortunately, the government is not looking at how they can integrate the neighborhood structures, neighborhood systems, where we have new neighborhoods and there are new sets of people coming up in the neighborhoods. How can these heads of neighborhoods, or we call them landlord and landladies association, how can the government work with this? Because it is these people that actually know the kind of people that live in these new neighborhoods, whether in the towns or in the cities. So if we can, I think something like this has happened in Brazil and some Latin American countries. They have used that kind of perspective to development, whereby industries are centralized in these new neighborhoods. Then if, for instance, in Ogbomoso, for example, when you're on the way, you will see several mango littering the floor. Is it possible? And we have Ladoke Akintola University of Technology in Ogbomoso, a university of technology for that matter, that means there is something that is wrong. If the mangoes are littering the floor and wasting, why can't there be a situation that through these new neighborhoods, the youth can come together, think of how to create a mango juice factory? It doesn't have to be the kind of thing we will get in some of the factories produced in Europe. We can start from somewhere. These mangoes, how can the youth make use of it to make herbal cosmetics, to make juice? These are the things that we need to evolve. If we can evolve these things from the neighborhood level, then we can begin to say that women and youths will be included in all forms of empowerment.
Yeah, but even in those communities, things like electricity is a major issue. Even when they're electrified, the supply is erratic,
Exactly.
And even things like internet availability that, that young people and women, these people that we're hoping, should be better incorporated, into the economic system. These are things that they might need for even marketing or publicizing what they are doing in those rural areas. These are not available. So how feasible are such projects really in terms of in economic terms?
There should be a way that we will kind of engage the government to make sure that they provide what is supposed to be provided. Fine, the issue of electricity goes beyond. Fine, there are new ways of, I know some farms in Nigeria, private farms, they have solar, they use solar and all that to generate electricity. All that, those are the alternative ways people use to survive. But we still cannot remove the fact, like you said, that we have erratic electricity. And even some neighborhoods, they don't have electricity in the last 3 years because the challenges they have is complex, and the power distribution companies, they have not been able to find a solution for them. But notwithstanding, I know that all these rural towns that are becoming urbanized, I know people are trying to be creative and innovative about how to make use of environmental resources for survival. So much as it could be, when we compare it to Europe, this is why the construction of development may be problematic. But when we take what they do, like, okay, shea butter, for instance, the way shea butter can be packaged from Shaki in Oyo State, a rural, a kind of a town in Oyo State that is becoming urbanized, the way they will package shea butter may be different from the way someone can package shea butter in California. There's no doubt about that. Then there could be issues of regulations and all that. But we all know that this is something that has been sustainable, because when we have our babies, we tend to patronize some of this shea butter to use as cream for babies. Even for adults, you use some of these things for your body. And so somehow, when you want to make comparison, you can say it's still at the primitive level.
And then it might also be a question of us looking more at how we can strengthen local markets and intra-African markets.
Exactly.
Rather than always.
I know that through ECOWAS and some several capacity building organizations across Africa, there are ways I know there is Women in Africa that cut across 54 countries. They tend to look at how African women, in fact, earlier today I was reading their release, like 57 something pages, where they chose women who won a kind of competition. These women produce all forms of things. They engage in all forms of service delivery, and they are domiciled within Africa. They make use of resources in Africa, and they also depend on the African market. So, like I say, there are various ways Africa is evolving in spite of the challenges.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mutiat Oladejo. This discussion will be continued in another episode. Thank you very much for being a part of the Sankofa Pan-African series. If you have not yet subscribed, please do so, and don't forget to like and share our videos with your contacts. See you next time.